Welcome back to Mobile Rolling. After the break, we will continue on with part 2 of our interview with Gary Ridings.
Here at Valley Horse Transport, our high level of knowledge and experience within the equine industry ensures that your most important and most loved assets are professionally transported with the utmost safety and welfare. Adelaide to Melbourne, Melbourne to Sydney, with reliable connections throughout all states in Australia. With the well-being of your equine companions being of paramount importance, our angle load transport trucks are fully equipped with a full range of safety devices and features. As well as providing professional equine transport, Valley Horse Transport also have multiple stabling facilities located among our routes, ensuring your horse arrives safe and in excellent condition. When the best is only good enough, ring us at Valley Horse Transport on 0499 449 151.
Welcome back to Mobile Rolling. I'm here still with Gary Ridings. Before the break, Gary, we were talking about what you'd done early in your life and your early involvement with the horses, with certain trainers, and especially Bronte Giorgio. And then we left it where you were in America. You went over there with Gary Butler and did some horse work and became involved with some vets. So after you were in America, where did you go from there?
Okay, so yeah, I came back home.
To Adelaide?
Yep. Couldn't wait to get my own horse, start training a horse myself, doing it the way, I guess, with all the influence I'd had, seeing different trainers from Bronte Giorgio to Rick Frierson to Les Harding to John Justice, and then throwing in a little bit of the American knowledge that I had. I found a horse, that was only a cheap horse, got it from Victoria, and she had 9 starts, 2 wins, 2 seconds, 2 thirds, 2 fourths, and then unfortunately she had a freak accident on a float, and which broke my heart.
What was that one?
It was called El Dayon.
So just on this, before with the American influence,
yep.
Were they interval training then?
They certainly were.
And
yep.
we weren't interval training
No,
here at the time.
no,
It was just the old long jog or on the jogger. Most
Yep.
of them would have been in those days still in bikes and just work
Yep.
them. So
Yep.
when you came back, this horse, did you interval train her,
Certainly,
or did you
yep.
integrate it in with normal training?
Yeah,
How
a little
did we
bit of
go?
both. I mean, there was certainly, I used to do heat work, so it was a form of interval training, maybe not to the same degree as America, because they did race only over a mile, whereas a lot of our races were between 1800 and 2650.
So where were you training at this stage?
At Globe Derby, I was training I trained at a few different places. One was at Michael Goldsworthy's in Daniel Avenue. It's got a nice little setup there. Anywhere in Globe Derby was great, just to be able to walk them down to the track.
Jog up to the track.
Yep.
So what ended up happening? This horse had an accident?
Had a brain aneurysm and just walked. It was in the paddock. We give it a little bit of a break. She had a little bit of a cold. Turned her out the day I went to pick her up. She was just so. I mean, the horse. I loved the horse. She loved me. She was racing up and down along the fence line. You know, he's here to pick me up, and she walked on the float, and she just dropped to the ground, and that wasn't it though. She was on the ground for 30 seconds unconscious, and then when she come around, instead of going off the back of the float, she charged forward through the front of the float and severed a spinal cord, and that was it.
So at that stage you came back, did you have a job this time?
I did. So I started working at the White Horse Inn. I was just a barman there. I worked my way up from just one of 50 employees to becoming assistant manager of the White Horse Inn over a period of 7 years. So yes, I was.
So how old was the White Horse Inn at that stage? Had it just been finished or not?
Oh no, it was well and truly in its prime. It was actually known as the Gypsy Jokers home turf, their pub, and it was quite a violent sort of workplace actually. Saw a lot
colourful
of bad
is the word
things.
we're looking for. Guys.
Okay, yeah, colourful.
I can remember coming down from Period at the Trots when it wasn't even built, and a certain trainer who no longer trains but was a fireman. I won't mention his name, and had poor vision.
Yep.
we were driving along one day and he said to Peter Thompson, "Gee, look at them stables they're building over there." And he said, "I think that's a hotel they're building there." So, so that must have been the 80s then.
Yeah. It was the mid-90s, I think, when I was working there. So,
so at this stage you were training a couple. How many did you train? What was the most you ever trained?
I only have had 2 or 3 in work. So that's if you've got a 2-horse float, it's easy to have 2 horses. If you're going to jog one, you can lead one. You know, if you're making 1 feed, you can make 2 feeds. It's two's. You know, you might as well have 2 if you're going to have 1.
So after you lost that mare, which obviously I know what it's like. I just lost a baby and still can't talk about it. So, what? How many years did you train? What year was that?
That was about 94 or 95, okay. And then I ended up training for about 17 years all up.
So, what was the best horse you trained?
Probably ability-wise, a horse called G.G. McNeil. I got from Victoria as well. He was a bit of a rogue. 26 starts in Victoria, galloped 24 of them.
Oh, he's a consistent performer.
RODM, but I got him here in Adelaide.
Who had him in Victoria?
A guy called Grubby Christensen. Yeah, I don't know what his first name is, but everyone knows him as Grubby Christensen.
He'd be pretty happy about that, wouldn't he?
Yeah, well, that's how he was known. So
how'd you end up with it? Did you get it to the winner's post?
I actually had an owner that was one of our patrons at the Wild Horse Inn at the time. She wanted to get involved, so she bought the horse, and he was only a cheapie. He was only $3,500. Obviously, 26 starts, 24 gallops. You're not going to pay too much. But ability-wise, at his second start, he missed it by 50. Went round, sat in the breeze, and just won running away from them.
Do you know what he was by? What was
I can't remember now, but not
so
sure.
You were training. You're at the White Horse Inn.
Yep.
Where do we go from at the White Horse Inn training? What did you then? As you said, you spent some time in America, vets, etc. What was your next phase in your life after? How long were you at the White Horse Inn?
I was there for 7 years. In the year 2000 or 2001, I then moved to Globe Derby, worked in the bar there as a night shift worker in the pokies in the bar, worked there for 7 years as well. Whilst training horses in the morning, so I sort of kept that going for, that was pretty much
10 or 14
my income.
Years,
Yep. Where I had a night job and I had my horses in the daytime. And I had a number of horses over the years, so I can list a few of them: Buckingham Palace, Paris and Boy, King's Right, Lightfoot Lombo. Some of these horses were very mediocre horses, and some of them were like Buckingham Palace. He won some Saturday night races and. He was really happy with what I did with him. But
so you did all that, and then when you obviously you have a different form of work now.
Yep.
Tell the people what you do and how you got into that.
Yep.
And probably a few things of the satisfaction it gives you, et cetera, et cetera. So. Without stealing your thunder, tell us how you became involved and what you actually are involved in now.
Yep.
And go from there.
Okay. Well, probably ending the training driving career was around 2008.
And why? Just on that, why did you stop?
Yeah, it was pretty much because
disillusioned or other things coming along.
A combination of a lot of things. One, I lost. The horse that I just pre-mentioned, Buckingham Palace as well. He had an accident in the paddock where he fractured his compound fracture of the pastern. He had to be put down. So my sort of first horse that I fell in love with, and my last horse that I fell in love with, and all the other horses in between. That's my problem, is that I'm a real animal lover. I'm a horse lover. I'm very passionate about horses and the industry. And after losing 2 horses, it may not happen to other trainers, and it may just brush it off, and it doesn't mean.
Well, everyone's got different emotions, haven't they? So
yeah.
some people can take that. They have livestock, you have dead stock. Some people,
true,
it affects them more.
And when you've only got 1 or 2, it does. You get attached to them. They're like part of the family, and so I'm a bit soft in that way. So I had a break from horses, and then got a little bit, lost in life. Went off, got out of the pub game as well. Got another little small sort of side business, and I got a little, depressed and wondering, what am I missing in life? And realised I was missing horses. So I looked at a way to get back into horses, but without the training and driving aspect. And so I I remember when I was in America, I actually spent some time also with an equine acupuncturist, so a horse acupuncturist. And in my time when I was training after my America trip, I did do some basic acupuncture on my own horses. And without really understanding the theory side of it, it was part of what I did. And so in this time after I gave away the training and driving, I thought, I wonder if there's a course somewhere in the world that I could do to get certified, and maybe this could be a new career path. But it wasn't the done thing. I mentioned it to a few people and they thought I was nuts. And but anyway, I found a course. It was a 1-year diploma. And
where was that to?
it was actually an online course done through a New South Wales agricultural
Facility.
Yep. And it was actually harder than it sounds being an online course, because you don't have someone there to help you locate the points. You have to identify the points. You have to take photos of them when you've needled them, and then send them off for judgment or for to be graded.
So you could be a little bit out,
but you'd know if you're out. Basically when you do acupuncture on a horse, if you miss the point, the horses will react. They will move. So you learn very quickly, as one, how to identify a point, and two, the response you get from the horse. So
okay. So you did that for a year.
Yep.
So you've become an acupuncturist, as we'll call them.
Certified acupuncturist.
So what then? You've got that. How did you then put that into practice?
Yep.
And if so, how was that received?
Yep.
And where did you start to get some clients?
Yep. It certainly took a little while to get going, because it is like any
non-Western medicine,
non-Western natural medicine or natural therapy.
Yep.
There's always the doubters, the skepticism, and all that. But so I then furthered my knowledge. I contacted Hong Kong Jockey Club. I sent them an email and said that I'd recently become certified in equine acupuncture, and is there any chance I can come and further my knowledge? And they were amazing. They welcomed me with open arms, and they said, as long as you... This was in 2014.
Mm-hmm.
And I went and did a 6-week placement there, and I wasn't allowed to acupuncture the horses, but I was allowed to take photos and videos and talk openly with the vets that were doing. So all the people that could do acupuncture in Hong Kong were veterinarians. And they were doing the biggest stables in Hong Kong, like John Size, and who was the leading trainer at the time. And just getting that training, that acceptance. I got a great letter of recommendation from the Hong Kong Jockey Club when I left. That actually helped propel me to the next level when I came home, because having that on my resume and having that experience really did kickstart things.
So obviously it's a big thing with the Hong Kong, with the Gallopers.
It's a big thing.
So have you been back? You go back often?
I have been back a couple of times. I went back and did further training in other aspects of natural therapy. And that's how then I got into building this business known as Horse Hotspot.
And that's what I was going to say. Most people would know you from the red light cameras or thermal imaging. Right?
So
we're talking 2014, so we're talking 2015, 16. So with your first of all, when did you start using the thermal imaging? And how do you integrate it in with your acupuncture? And answering that, what were you using? What stables were you using? Was it just Pacers and Trotters here, or the Gallopers? Was it purely South Australia to start with? And just tell us how you integrated both in together. And basically...
There's a lot of questions there, Gaz. I'll try and get through all them.
We'll go for one. Thermal imaging. When did you start that?
So another part of after the Hong Kong experience, a good friend of mine, Mark Liddymore in Malaysia, who was an ex-Whyalla boy, I think. He's a race caller, was in Adelaide, based in Adelaide, then got a job in...
John Liddymore's son,
John Liddymore's son. Got a job in Malaysia. He's now the #1 race caller in Malaysia. He mentioned to the veterinarians in Malaysia that he had a good friend that was recently certified in acupuncture and also trained in Hong Kong. They were very keen to get me there to do demonstrations for the vets there. as no vets in Malaysia knew how to do any acupuncture, which was a great honour for me. So I went there, did some demonstrations, and in turn, I saw them using thermal imaging as well. I saw them using all different forms of natural therapy, and I was going back and forth, gaining more and more knowledge from Hong Kong and Malaysia to build this little natural therapy business that I've got, which is obviously the thermal imaging. Is a great way to identify hotspots or inflammation in a horse's body, and then using potentially one of my natural therapies to treat the problem, or referring on what my findings are to a veterinarian here in South Australia.
So, at this stage, what year are we talking now?
We're getting into about 2000. I think 2015 was the first year I started using the camera. So I'm 9 years, coming up 10 years with thermal imaging.
So without saying too many, we don't want to be dropping names or whatever. But the stables that you've done here in South Australia, I know that you do travel interstate as well now.
Yes, yep.
But the stables that are here, because I do know some that have used your thermal imaging.
Yep.
I know that you've done some for my horses, and certainly have found areas, and pointed out that it's not in that area. This is where it is here.
Yes,
This is where the pain. Your success rate's been very good.
I believe, going by the theory, where there's smoke, there's fire. If something lights up, particularly in a joint or a tendon or a muscular area that looks unusual or shouldn't be there, I think it's a lead to knowing that there's something going on there. It's not a diagnosis. It doesn't tell us what it is. But I probably on average a year look at 1,000 horses a year. 1,000 horses a year at 9 odd years, 10 years. We're talking 35, 40,000 horses I've looked at so far in my career and what I'm doing. Times that by 4 legs, I've looked at 100 odd thousand legs over this period of time. And you know when something looks a little abnormal. A lot of times things do look very similar because there are a lot of similarities in horses. But when you see something really blow up the camera, it really warrants further investigation, and particularly if we're talking joints or tendons, suspensories, things like that. That's when I will say, look, this is where you get your vet involved, and this needs either a flexion test, an X-ray, a scan. And I am quite fortunate enough to have some vets that are quite supportive of what I do. I have to mention Dr. Toby Ryan. He's been very supportive to the point where, like, he recommends my services. And there are a few other vets.
That's the next question I was going to ask, because it's a funny area, isn't it? It's natural therapies.
Yep.
And then you got vets.
Yes.
You have natural medicine. You have Western medicine.
Yep.
And I've been there, done all that. Haven't had a heart attack and a few things.
Yep.
I'm not a inverted commas Western medicine man.
Yep.
Because I know what's happened to me in the last 20 years.
Yep.
So it's great to have that interaction with the vet like Toby Ryan.
Yes. Yep.
Because there would be other areas where you may go where the local vet would be sceptical and go, this bloke doesn't know what he's talking about.
Absolutely.
And I know in my instance that I know one horse you looked at that someone told me it was wrong, something was wrong with it. And at the time, I think it was Justin Bruin had the horse and you had to look at it. And you said, it is nowhere near what they're saying, this is it. And you actually sent me the image.
Okay.
And it's we treated it accordingly.
Yep.
So just on that, there's certain... It's a funny area, I can say it, you probably can't. Certain areas where officialdom in certain states will allow you to do certain things, and in other areas they won't let you do. So I don't want you to answer it, but I want the viewers to understand that it's natural therapies and remedies and whatever, and if the results prove that it's right, I don't think that the authorities that run the show can actually look down their nose and say, well, we're not going to allow you to do this and this and this and that. You know what I mean?
I certainly, one thing I want to say and make it clear is that, look, it's a democratic world we live in. Trainers, owners of their horses, they all have their choice. Some people are just very much for the vets, and that's fine. Some people are very much for what I do, and some people will use me before they get the veterinarian. Sometimes they'll use me after the vet's been there. So everyone's got a choice, and it's the same even in the human world. I mean, some people would rather go to the doctor, the GP, and other people would rather go to the chiropractor, the physiotherapist, the acupuncturist, the massage therapist. And the world we live in today, I feel that in the animal world, the horse world in particular, we are a fair way behind the times, because 20 years ago, acupuncture really wasn't recognised in the human world. Now it's being covered by your health funds.
Exactly.
You know, in the horse world, the veterinarians get very much promoted, obviously, because they do 4 or 5 years, vet science. They get very well promoted, but natural therapy doesn't. And I feel that, natural therapy has a long way to catch up. I think it is certainly something that is essential. Not for everybody. Not everyone's going to believe it, and I don't judge anybody if they don't believe in it. They don't like it. They, they want to use a veterinarian. That's fine. But I sort of see things a bit differently. I know what works for me is I'd rather go for my bad back. I'd rather go get some massage, some acupuncture, some physiotherapy, rather than take some drugs or some anti-inflammatories that are no good for my insides.
I've just been to the doctor this morning and agree 100%. And this is probably, you need a balance to integrate them in together.
Yep.
But just one point that I would see is that, and this is not any vet, this is just the industry, the vets can tell you to give the Dex and do this and do that, the painkillers, but you're not allowed to race them with it.
Right.
So it's sort of saying on one hand, you can have this cake, you can only eat it today, you can't eat it tomorrow, and the natural therapies, which would be
quite useful in a lot of cases.
They're frowned upon.
Frowned upon, and that's my point.
That's my way of looking at it overall. Is that in one of them it's a pat on the back. You're allowed to use. You're allowed to tell them to use that. But don't have it anywhere near race day. To me, it just seems to be a double standard.
Whereas natural therapy doesn't show up in a test. It's it is something that's more. I don't know, probably getting closer to races, it's more acceptable for the horse, and it's not like a drug in the system that's got to be in and out.
Exactly.
So
look, I think we've just about covered everything. I don't know if there's anything you want to finish up on, but people obviously will now know that you've gone from the horses to basically being a natural therapy man with your heat guns and other stuff that you use. And I know that you do travel all around Australia and Asia and whatever. So everybody can see your horse hotspot. And if there's anything you need to finish with, Gaz, let us know.
Oh, well, that's pretty much the only point I want to get across is that I do think that natural therapies. I mean, like I say, us as humans, we anyone that says they don't believe in natural therapies, then why are they themselves going to their physio, their acupuncturist, their chiropractor, their massage therapy, whatever? Why can't this be more accepted and promoted better within the horse industry? That's my little sort of beef that I feel as though.
That's your little advert. We'll finish.
I just feel that it should be pushed a little bit more and accepted more.
Thanks for your time, Gary.
No worries, much appreciated. Thank you, Gary.